All right, let's dive into something fascinating. There's this quiet AI revolution happening right now inside Serbia's museums, libraries, and archives. But here's the thing. It's happening at two completely different speeds. And that gap, well, it's creating a pretty dangerous situation between the people actually doing the work and the institutions they work for. So let's break down what's really going on. So first up, let's talk about the fast lane. And believe me, it is fast. AI isn't some far-off futuristic idea for these folks. The survey found that a whopping 73% of professionals in cultural heritage are already using AI tools. And this isn't some big mandate from the top either. No, this is a massive bottom-up wave. We're talking about the curators, the archivists, the librarians. They're the ones driving this. So what are they actually doing with it? Well, for the most part, it's all about making their jobs easier. It's about productivity. They're using chatbots to get quick answers, to summarize these really dense academic texts, or to get a hand with translations. They're even jumping into generative AI to whip up first drafts of text and images for things like exhibits or social media posts. I mean, these are super practical, everyday things that are just quietly changing how they work, one person at a time.
And here's what really caught my eye. This isn't being driven by, the interns or recent grads. Not at all. A staggering 77% of these AI users have over a decade of experience. We're talking about the veterans, seasoned archivists, curators, librarians, the people who are literally the guardians of our cultural memory. They see what AI can do, and they are not waiting around.
Okay, so this is where we get to the real heart of the issue. You have all these individuals sprinting ahead, embracing AI at lightning speed. But that just begs the question, right? What are their organizations doing? Are the institutions themselves keeping up? Well, the data, it tells a very, very different story.
And here it is. Welcome to the slow lane. Almost 80%, let that sink in, 80% of these cultural institutions have absolutely no formal AI policy. None. So you've got their staff, day in and day out, using these incredibly powerful tools, while the organizations have zero official rules, no guidelines, no strategy at all. They are, to put it mildly, completely unprepared.
And if you want a number that just perfectly captures the scale of this problem, here it is. Out of everyone surveyed from dozens and dozens of different institutions, how many do you think said their organization had a formal adopted AI policy? Just one. A single organization. This isn't just a gap, folks. This is a total governance vacuum. So what happens when you don't have a policy? You get a whole lot of confusion. Nearly a third of employees couldn't even tell you if their own organization was using AI in any official way. That points to a massive breakdown in communication. It's like this shadow adoption is happening, where everyone's just using these tools on their own, informally, with absolutely no oversight from the top.
Now, this isn't just about messy internal communication or who's using what app. It builds into a much, much bigger problem. Think about it. For museums and archives, their entire currency is truth, authenticity. So operating without any rules for technology that is literally known to hallucinate, to just make stuff up, that's not just risky, it's dangerous.
Yeah, and this quote from the analysis really hits the nail on the head. The whole point of a museum, of an archive, is to preserve historical truth. That's their core mission. So when you have an AI that can confidently spit out something that sounds totally plausible but is completely false, well, that's not just an inconvenience, it's an existential threat to the very reason they exist, especially if there are no checks and balances.
And what's so wild is that the professionals themselves get this. They are totally aware of the risks. When you ask them about their ethical priorities, what's at the top? Accuracy, data privacy. They rate them almost a perfect 5 out of 5 in importance. So the personal commitment to doing the right thing is absolutely there. But the institutional rules to back them up, they're just gone, missing in action.
And here's the direct result of that. With no clear policies, being transparent about using AI just becomes a personal judgment call. Only about 11% of these folks say they always or usually disclose it. The huge majority? They either decide case by case or just never mention it. And that kind of inconsistency, it's a massive threat to the public trust that these places have spent, literally, centuries building. Okay, so we've established this huge gap between the eager individuals and the slow-moving institutions. The big question is, how do you build a bridge? Well, the good news is we don't have to guess. The solution isn't some big mystery. The roadmap is right there in the survey data, coming directly from the people who are actually on the front lines. So first, let's look at the roadblocks. What's really holding these institutions back? And what's interesting is, it's not just about money. Far from it. The biggest barriers they reported were things like a lack of technical skills, having no clear legal rules to follow, and just general uncertainty about all the ethical questions. They're basically screaming for knowledge and rules, even more than they're asking for cash.
And when you ask them what kind of support they need to get past those barriers, the answer is just crystal clear. An overwhelming 85% said training and education. That was their number one need. After that comes tech support, and you guessed it, a desperate need for clear guidelines and best practices. See, they're not asking for someone to ban these tools, they're asking to be taught how to use them the right way.
So when you put all of that together, the path forward is actually pretty simple. Step 1, you create the guidelines and the policy templates that almost 80% of institutions are missing. Step 2, you launch the training programs that 85% of the professionals are begging for. And Step 3, you use all of that to set up clear, consistent standards for transparency so you can protect and even rebuild that public trust.
Look, at the end of the day, this data proves one thing. AI is already here. It's in the building. The choice isn't if these institutions will use it. The real question is how they're going to manage it. So, are we going to empower the guardians of our heritage with the training and the rules they need to make AI a tool that preserves our past? Or are we going to let a lack of action turn it into a tool that accidentally or maybe even intentionally rewrites it? Because that decision needs to be made right now.